Welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zach.
I'm Andrea.
And we do full-length car reviews each and every week, and we stop halfway through for a segment called Questions, Coffee, and Cars. You seem to like it, so we spun it off. We're at number 144. How do you get a question in?
Follow along on Instagram at Motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning, I put a post out on Instagram asking for questions. Once we gather our questions, the post is deleted, and we start the show.
Time now for Questions, Coffee, and Cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
Great show, guys. Thank you. Saw that a hybrid all-wheel drive Ford Maverick is available in the U.S. now. Do you know if it will make its way to Canada this year?
Yes.
Absolutely. And guess what? It's on the site in Canada. You can order one now.
Can I? Can I order one now, Andrea?
Oh, no. We already had this discussion.
We had this discussion this morning. Ooh, I'd like a Maverick. I don't think I would, honestly though, only for resale value I would get the all-wheel drive. I don't need the all-wheel drive.
No.
But I like the idea of having a Maverick.
I said to Zach, let's lay low in 2025 and let's not buy a new car. We only bought two last year.
I don't want to buy a new car. I want to buy a used car.
Here we go. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. If the tariffs do become a reality, do you think it will hit the used market where used cars become in more demand because people can't afford to buy new? And then used cars prices will potentially go up.
I just want to clarify. The threat from the Trump administration is that they're going to impose 25% tariffs on Canadian goods. So the vehicles that are made in Canada include Toyota RAV4 and RAV4 hybrid, the Lexus NX and NX hybrid, and the Lexus RX and RX hybrid.
That's right.
Okay. Honda makes the Honda CR-V and the CR-V hybrid, and the Honda Civic and the Civic hybrid.
Yes.
And there's only one other production facility, no, two others, and they include General Motors makes full-size trucks, and Stellantis makes the Pacifica minivan.
Exactly.
And that's really the production we have in Canada. So if you're not buying any of those cars, they would not be under the new tariff. So if you buy, and this is what Trump wants, he wants you to buy an American car.
For sure.
American-made car.
Will Trump do it? Possibly. If he does do it, how long will he keep the tariffs on for? Will it only be 2 weeks? It's a bit of a negotiating tool for him. He has reasons as to why he's doing it for Canada and Mexico. So you've got also vehicles that are built in Mexico that will be a problem, like some Volkswagen models, just to name a few.
Mexico's got a bigger problem. More production is done in Mexico than there is in Canada.
Yes, so I think it really comes down to how long he keeps the tariffs on, if he does do it. I don't think the used car market will be affected if, let's say, he only keeps them on for 3 weeks. If he keeps them on long term, yes, you may see an issue there with used cars going up in price, but I think it really comes down to how long he keeps the tariffs on. And my feeling is if Canada and Mexico negotiates with him and gives him what he wants and improves on the things that he's concerned about, I don't think that he will keep the tariffs on long term.
I don't think Canada's the main target. I think basically he wants to open up the North American Free Trade Agreement, or whatever it's called now, and do a third round. We used to have a free trade agreement just with the United States. Then it included Mexico. Then we did it again when Trump was in office last time. And I think what he wants to do is he wants to do that again. I think the big problem is Mexico. Canada, we've got some things to clean up our act on border security, illegal migrants, drugs. Canada really needs to strengthen its ports. This is the real problem. If you follow this channel regularly, we talked about all the vehicles that are being stolen in Canada and shipped out of the Port of Montreal and the Port of Delta here. So if Canada really wanted to get serious about the ingredients to go into making hard drugs, they would really crack down on the ports. And that would really appease the Americans.
And for those who follow along with our Canadian government, yesterday our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, resigned.
As the Liberal leader.
As the Liberal leader. And well, he is our Prime Minister.
But still.
So Pierre Poilievre with the Conservative government, he really does want to crack down on crime. So sometimes change is not a bad thing with government. So this is a follow-up to the tariffs from someone. It says, I was wondering the same thing, but how will it affect new cars coming from the States? I live in British Columbia as well and have a deposit down on a 2025 Mazda CX-50, and I'm wondering if they will be delayed even further in getting here if these tariffs become a reality. No, because the CX-50 is built in the US. So Trump will be absolutely thrilled that you are buying an American-made vehicle.
So what tools does a country have when somebody imposes a 25% tariff? So if Donald Trump actually does this, maybe it's not 25, maybe it's 15. Anyway, it's highly punitive to our economy. The levers that Canada has is that they can then go after specific states with high value items and say, we're going to put tariffs on those. And they did that last time there was tariffs imposed by Trump, and they went after specific states with things that they export, like I think Wisconsin was for Harley Davidson, and so on. We don't have nearly as much leverage as the Americans do, obviously a much bigger market. What we do have leverage on, Andrea, is oil. And if Canada, if I was running things, I would put an excise tax on, which means an export tax. So if you want a barrel of oil from Canada, and the United States imports 4 million? 4 million barrels of oil a day. 4 million barrels of oil a day.
A lot of oil.
If you put the price of oil up overnight, yes, they have other areas they can get oil from, but not the heavy oil that Canada delivers, which really is made for diesel fuel, it's made for bunker fuel for ships, and it's made also for heating fuel. So that would really spike the costs in the United States. All of this is basically a pissing war that should never start.
No, it should never start. And I really hope Canada doesn't continue with the pissing war. I'm hoping that we can just meet the terms of what Trump wants. And frankly, I think we need to do it anyway. You know, we need border security. We need all of those things that he's asking for anyway. Let's not get too much into politics.
I just want to say one more thing. Because Trudeau stepped down as the Liberal leader yesterday, and there'll be a new prime minister in an election and probably in the spring, we are now in a weak position. Like, I mean, it's just pain on pain that this has been inflicted by our current government, and it's all an own goal. It's an own goal. It's all their own doing. I just don't understand it.
Okay, let's move on. Do you know the estimated fuel economy of the Subaru Forester hybrid? A dealer in Toronto mentioned they're taking deposits with availability expected around mid-2025. Can you confirm?
It'll be better than the gas model. That's all we can say.
Well, Subaru did come out and say an estimated 6.5 liters per 100 kilometers, which is 36 miles per gallon or better. These are not EPA numbers, so we have to wait and see, but that gives you a bit of an estimate. In the spring, the U.S. will be getting the Forester hybrid first, followed by Canada. So I'm kind of thinking mid-2025 sounds about right for Canada. But you're right, they're taking deposits, and you can order one.
So go ahead, yeah.
Go ahead and do it. Now, this is going to have the 2.5 liter Boxer engine. Subaru wanted to go with their own engine, but it will have the Toyota hybrid system. So interestingly enough, different from what Mazda did with the CX-50 hybrid, they went with the same Toyota engine as the RAV4 and the hybrid system.
Yeah, because their engine is upright and the Boxer engine is flat, so it has to actually fit in the car, and it's been engineered for a flat 4 engine. So it's going to be interesting to see how they actually put it all together and use a combination of Subaru technology and the hybrid drive from Toyota, how they all make it work with their all-wheel drive system. So we'll have to wait and see. I don't think we're going to have to wait long until we get a glimpse of it.
And the Crosstrek hybrid is also coming. So this is a huge year for Subaru. And frankly, it's about time we're seeing some hybrids. Where are you traveling this year for yourselves, not for cars?
We don't travel for ourselves.
You know, I think because we travel so much.
Oh, do you know what I was going to do before you go on?
Yeah.
Andrew, we've already got a bunch of trips. I'm going to open a folder on my phone, and I'm going to write down the trip that are booked and how many days we're away. And at the end of the year, I want to see how many days we're. I'm going to say about.
I do that. I could tell you last year
Was it
what
100 days?
I don't know. I'd have to go through it all.
Well, then why didn't you do that, Andrea? It's a new year. We want a list.
I'll do it for the next one. So I do that anyway to keep track of everything. So I could actually go back to 2024 and tell you exactly how many days we were away. When we had our dog, we have a very good friend, Stephen, who would come in the morning and give him his meds because he was an elderly dog and walk him. I mean, he's an amazing guy. Anyway, we were so lucky to have him, but he gave me some days of how many days we were away. And I can't remember the exact number, but I was slightly alarmed.
I would suggest that if you traveled as much as we travel for work, you would not want to get on an airplane and stay in a hotel room.
There's joy in being in your own bed, in your own home, cooking your own meals instead of eating out all the time. Don't get us wrong, we have an amazing job, amazing, and we're so thankful that we get to do this and we get to do it together and we get to travel. Our boys, on the other hand, would say to us,
do you know what our boys like?
They want to go to Japan.
Oh, do you know what our boys like? They like all our air miles.
Oh.
They go, oh, I want to go here, I want to go there. And then, of course, we used our points to buy the tickets because we got a lot of air miles. But
Jack went to Europe in September, I think it was, and then he just came back from Chicago for the Winter Classic, the hockey tournament that they put on. I was disappointed. It's New Year's Eve now. I liked it better New Year's Day.
Yeah, and our other son went to Europe this summer. And then he's going to Montreal in a few weeks. So, yeah, we're burning through our air miles. We don't use them.
And he's also talking about maybe Australia in May, which I haven't been to. I want to go. That's one place I think that Zach and I would love to go to on
Flights
our own.
leaving every day, Andrea.
And
I suggested this to Andrea last year. We were actually thinking of doing it this month. We're thinking we'll do it in January, when maybe it's a little quieter on the YouTube front, of going to Australia and driving some of the Chinese EV cars that we don't have. What do you guys think of that? If we decided to go to Australia and drive some of the Chinese EVs that they get and we don't, but Andrew, you have to drive on that side of the car.
That's fine. I can do that. I had to drive a manual transmission in Japan.
Not on the road, though.
Not on the road, on a track. But, you know, the other thing is we can do all of our questions, coffee and cars from a beach in Australia.
But the problem is the video would be upside down.
Ha ha ha. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I like that. Anything I should keep in mind if thinking about leasing an IONIQ 5. Lease incentives are great right now in Colorado, and I drive 300 miles a week for work. Have a Gladiator, but would like to keep miles off of it. Thanks.
Okay, I know Andrew's going to go right into this.
No, but nothing wrong with the IONIQ 5. It's a good vehicle. It's spacious. It's got great
very
range.
Well designed, yeah.
Excellent charging times. All of that. What you should consider for any EV is getting replacement insurance, gap insurance, if you're leasing, because if something does happen to the battery and it has to be replaced, that's on you. That's not under warranty. And also...
so just to back up, if something happens to the battery that damages the battery, so if you're in, if you run over something, if something happens to the battery where the battery fails, that's on Hyundai.
That's on Hyundai or
totally
any other manufacturer. Yeah. Yes, it's something that you've done to the battery yourself. Also, depreciation is a factor, but if you're just leasing and then giving the vehicle back, I wouldn't worry about that.
Well, there's a big difference also between leasing and owning. Like if you lease the vehicle and something happens to the battery and the insurance company writes it off, you're just giving the car back anyway.
That's right.
So there's maybe not as much risk. And this is the thing about EVs in the United States. It's all lease-based driven. People don't really buy, I mean, some people probably do buy EVs in the States. The leases are so enticing. You can get some crazy deals. Wasn't it Tommy from the Fast Lane truck got a Fiat 500 for like $99 or something? It was
really
something crazy.
inexpensive.
So yeah. We don't get that in Canada, unfortunately. Plus, you get the $7,500 credit if you lease with the Hyundai Group. So, yeah, I mean, if you like the vehicle, it's a great product. They definitely have dialed that in.
And also, we've got the federal EV rebate in Canada, $5,000, but it has to come in under $60,000 starting price. I don't know how long that's going to last either, because it's up in April. Will they continue? Will the government continue?
Well, that's the whole thing.
That we'll wait and see.
If Trump's already saying that, well, Elon Musk is in his ear saying get rid of the tax credit, because that benefits Elon Musk, because he can make EVs cheaper than everybody else because they've been doing it longer, and that's all he makes. These other brands like Hyundai have to make all these other products, which he doesn't make.
No.
Will the conservative government here do the same thing? We'll see.
We'll see.
Here's the reality. EV rebates cannot continue indefinitely. They just can't. I mean, at some point, they've got to go away.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Have you guys heard of any issues with the new Chevy Trax? My sister just got a 2025 Trax RS. She loved your video on it in December, and 2 weeks after picking it up, the engine light came on. It was due to leaking fuel injectors. She absolutely loves it and was planning on buying it out after the 2-year lease. Now she's not sure.
The only thing I would say about leaking fuel injectors is that sounds to me like a part supplier source issue. So whoever makes the injectors for that engine, that's the part. Okay, I don't think that's basically incriminating the whole car.
No.
So work with the dealer and get the injectors changed, and then probably after that it'll be perfectly fine.
So there are some reports. So it's so interesting about the Trax.
One more thing, it's the third best-selling vehicle at General Motors.
I know.
Crazy, right?
And wow, the value it offers and what you get inside is just terrific. So some people have the 2024 model. Absolutely no issues at all. They love it. Like, the comments online are just so positive about the Trax. And I was really happy to read all that. And then there are the negatives as well. And so issues that people have had, I'll just list them off. Engine issues, check engine light, electrical system issues, forward collision avoidance and lane departure issues, exterior lighting problems, windows unable to roll up or down. Most people have said that they love it. One owner says he has 28,000 miles on the vehicle and had one issue with Apple CarPlay, which was fixed through a software update. A GM technician at a dealership says the worst problems that he has seen is a few bad turbos, but they were fixed under warranty. Another person said he has 4,000 miles on his Trax with no issues. There was a start-stop recall, but he took it to the dealership and it was fixed in 45 minutes. He said he would buy one again in a second.
I'm a huge fan of it. And people say, well, why didn't you put it on your subcompact list? And the reason why it didn't go on is because it's only front-wheel drive. Just because we live in Canada and people are being, wanting all-wheel drive. But I love the Trax. It is just great, great value. Work with the dealer, get the injectors changed. There's only 3 of them. 1, 2, 3, because it's a 3-cylinder. It should be done in no time, and she'll probably love it, like all these other people do.
Oh my gosh. I mean, they raved about it. Okay, keep the amazing content coming. Thank you. How much smaller is the RX compared to the QX60, XC90, and MDX? Which of those 4 would you pick if buying used, factoring in value, space, comfort, and reliability?
So the RX against the QX60, that's the Infiniti based on the Pathfinder.
Yeah.
The XC90, that's the Volvo.
And the MDX.
And then the MDX based on the Pilot. Well, they're all 3-rows, and the RX is not.
Yeah, so if you're looking at space, the RX just isn't as big. I compared it to the QX60 in measurements. I just picked one. And the QX60 in length is 5.7 inches longer. The QX60 offers about an inch more front row leg room. It's almost 2 inches wider than the RX. But second row legroom, it's like 0.3 inches. But you have to remember with these 3-row SUVs, they've got to make room for the third row. But then you've got cargo space, whether it's overall cargo capacity or space behind the second row. The QX60 is much bigger, like 12 cubic feet larger.
So if you wanted to get a large luxury 2-row, not 3-row, and have a lot of space, Then you could get the Q8 from Audi, which is basically the Q7, but without the third row of seats. Similar to what Volkswagen does with Atlas. They take the Atlas and they turn it into the Cross. Is it Sport Cross or Cross Sport?
Atlas Cross Sport.
Cross Sport. I always get that mixed up. Sport Cross, Cross Sport. That's a big two-row as well. So,
So out of
you're
these
mixing
four,
kind of apples and oranges here.
So out of these four, what would you pick based on value, space, comfort, and reliability?
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1.
MDX. The only thing is there have been some issues with reliability with the MDX. It's hit and miss. However, it has been around.
A long time.
So I would feel more inclined to go. And I just like the way that it handles, and it really is comfortable.
Very comfortable, Andrea.
Yeah.
Very, very comfortable. Like a new shoe, like a new year. There you go, Andrea.
Like a shiny new dime.
How do you get a question in?
Follow along on Instagram at motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning, I put a post out asking for questions. Once we gather them, the post is deleted and we start the show.
See you next time.
Thanks for watching.